දවසින් දවසට වැටෙන ආකාරයට කට වචනෙන් ඒක මවලා පෙන්නුවා. They made use of all that not for the benefit of the public, not in the interest of the country, for their narrow political and personal interests. We have understood that is not happening. They have already denied 2 elections. They did not lay that foundation. The deep state does not serve the general public. We need elections, but if we are not going to have elections, how are we going to do that? We have to have a system where if you build up the state structure, eventually everything will be taken care of by them, and I think justice will be meted out to the poor citizens. ඇත්තටම අවශ්‍යතාවය තියෙන්නේ අපි අත්විඳ කාලයක් තිස්සේ අර්බුද රාශියකට මුහුණ දුන්නා. අවසානයේදී අපි හිතුවේ අර දියුණු වෙමින් පවතින රටක් බවට කියපු නිසා අවසානයේදී කෙලවර වේවි දියුණු වෙලා. නමුත් කාලයක් තිස්සේ අපි දැක්කා දියුණුවට නෙවෙයි යන්නේ. කොටිම කියනවා නම් දවසින් දවසට වැටෙන ආකාරයට. එහෙම රටක ඇත්තටම අද මට ඉතාමත්ම සතුටු දවසක්. උපවාසයේ දේශනේ බව අපේ හැමෝටම අපේ හදවතට ඉතාමත් හොඳින් වැදුණා. අපි දකිනවා එකමුතුකම, ඒ වගේම ආදරය, කරුණාව, නීතිය, යුක්තිය, සාධාරණ ගරු කරන සමාජයක් බිහි කිරීමට අපේ අවශ්‍යතාවය තියෙනවා උපවාසයේලගේ නායකත්වයෙන්. ඒ වගේම හිතවත් මංජු අපි ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා. විශාල දායකත්වයක් දුන්නා. ඇත්තට රටක කෙටිම කියතොත් වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ ඒ අවංක චේතනාව තියෙන කණ්ඩායමකට විතරයි. ඒ නිසා මම පෙර නිමිති දකිනවා අලුත් බලවේගයක් අවශ්‍යතාවය තියෙනවා. මොකද හේතුව අපි හැමෝටම කිව්වා මේක වෙනස කරන්න කියලා. නමුත් කට වචනෙන් ඒක මවලා පෙන්නුවා. නාට්‍ය අනුසාරයෙන් අපිට සමාජ වෙන ගුණාට අඳින තත්ත්වයටපත් කරා. ඇඳුන හොඳටම ඇති. ඒ නිසා අපි අලුත් ගමනක් යමු. මම කෙටියෙන් සටහන් ටිකක් අහගෙන ආවා. ඇත්තට let me now speak in English. I must say for several decades we have been told that we are being governed under a constitution, and there's a constitution and various other laws. But unfortunately, for a long period of time, we feel the law applies only to the general masses, not to the privileged or the powers such as politicians. It is therefore important that processes, rules, regulations, etc. should be definitely, implemented or enforced for the benefit of the people, not in order to protect a hand-picked or a group of people who have ultimately, let me again, without any hesitation say, who have destroyed this country. They are still in power to ensure that they will hold power indefinitely until they want. And they use every single institution which the public maintains at public expense for their own benefit. Let me say the parliament, the police, even other institutions are being used for their own benefit, which is totally unsatisfactory. I have served parliament. I was lucky to see what was happening in parliament from a very young stage, and I completed 37 years. I was really sad day after day because we found there were laws enacted like Mr. J.R.Jayawardana, Ape Hamaduru also said the same thing. Basically, they made use of all that not for the benefit of the public, not in the interest of the country, for their narrow political and personal interests. Actually, the Constitution, as we know, there are various kinds of rights, privileges, which are our entitlement according to the Constitution. Very sad, none of those provisions are being applied for the benefit of the people, in the interest of the people. It is time for us to say, enough is enough. Now I know there is basically diversion of power in their own interest, for the benefit of the politicians. They should use all that for the benefit of the people, as I said, in the interest of the country, and in the greatest interest of the future generations of this country. We have understood that is not happening. And for that purpose, we have concluded, as I said, enough is enough. I want to say this word, enough is enough, even in the future. I hope you will forgive me for that. Basically, are they now trying to take away our democratic rights? They have already denied 2 elections, provincial council elections and local government elections. Are they in a position to say no even to other elections in the future? I'm sure those provisions are there specifically stated in the Constitution, and I don't think it will be that easy for them to do so. But yet, if in case they use all kinds of irregular methods and maybe use armed forces and the police, it is my humble request that this organization is now blooming not for our own benefit. It is for the benefit of the generations to come. Let me say, countries that are developed because leaders during those periods laid the right foundation to achieve goals, and ultimately they are developed countries. In our country, what has happened, they did not lay that foundation. Eventually, all what they did was they, purposely, willfully wanted to break down the entire system that existed until the 70s. My friend Bruno explained it very well. We are moving towards a deep state. What is a deep state? Actually, the deep state does not serve the general public. Even at this moment, to a great extent, we are somewhere there, and it is being controlled by certain unknown powers. If you can imagine, the laws are being drafted not by the legal draftsman, and laws are being supported at times for various reasons by the Attorney General, maybe for whatever reasons, to protect the politicians. No. What do we need to do? What have they got to do? It is their duty to serve the masses. Unless they do that, how do we change? We need elections. But if we are not going to have elections, how are we going to do that? We are going to be united, and this is a force that cannot be easily, I would say, let me say it this way, I'm sorry. We will go to each and every village. We will certainly spread our strength through අපේ හාමුදුරුවෝ ඒ හැමෝම ආශිර්වාද ආදරය ඒ ශක්තියත් එක්ක we will move forward. And let me again add, now remember Germany, Japan, South Korea, they had wars, but within a very short period of time they are able to achieve status of developed nations. Unfortunately, having ended the 30-year war, what happened? Without any sympathy at all, without any vision at all, they went on borrowing. And what did they borrow? They borrowed all that to, can I again say, maybe more than the money actually all that what they wanted was to pocket out all that money. So ultimately all what they did was, end of the day, we have now been made a country which is neck deep with all kinds of debt. Are we going to be happy with it? No. We specifically need to mention that in terms of a decision arrived at the World Bank, there's a thing called odious debt. Odious debt means if such debt has not served the purpose of the general public, all that debt we will have to announce are debt robbed by the politicians. And the innocent citizens cannot take such responsibilities and make our unborn children to pay such debt in the years to come, in decades, for about 4 or 5 decades in the future. And the other thing is, we must not forget about, according to Special Rapporteur on Extreme Poverty and Human Rights, Philip Alston said, I quote, "This is not an accident. Such a situation is not an accident. It is the result of deliberate and conscious decisions by actors who have chosen to prioritize their goals." So if that was the case, if they had done all that to satisfy their needs, I'm 100% sure we don't have to accept that responsibility. In time to come, we will specifically state that they should be held responsible for all that. My desire is to tell everybody in the country, and I even feel like adding another few words. Actually, please, maybe the United Nations, maybe the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, or even the Commonwealth Association, they should try and find out why such a prosperous country had ultimately ended up in a state like ours, and why we became a bankrupt nation. So what I'm fully well aware, all this could be overcome within a short period if we know and if we can definitely mobilize the support of good leaders. We want good leaders to emerge even from various other provinces, because then only they'll slowly, gradually come up and then look after. We will certainly think in terms of building up, because we need not only people, we need people who can look into various constitutional reforms, state reforms, all that. In the meantime, in view of the democratization processes, what did they do? They have broken down the entire democratic machinery. And good governance was a dream in 2015. And they promised all that, saying there'll be good governance and they'll be able to take country forward to achieve growth and development, which they have not done. So I'm 100% sure whether it is the UNP or the SJB, even what is this, Mahinda Rajapaksa's let me also say, yesterday, according to what we gathered, I think people, they really need a change. They really need a change where they could make the country prosper. So whatever it is, let me end up with a saying, none of these actors who messed up this country has been made accountable. So what do we need at this moment? We have to have a system where if you build up the state structure, eventually everything will be taken care of by them, and I think justice will be meted out to the poor citizens. I would therefore add that goal of an elected government in the future should be to create a country populated by free, capable, secure and powerful citizens. Let's come together and work towards that. Thank you very much.